"No Echo, stop," I said in a dyslexic tone that sounded almost sarcastic due to the fact that I knew it wouldn't change the reality that this dude was deeper than the Mariana Trench, swimming in what everyone, except for apparently him, knew was a sea of enemies. You see, this Echo was one of those guys who marches to the drum of his own beat, and watching him try to use a sequence of 4 buttons correctly felt like I was watching an uncoordinated senile drunk walrus try to ride a tricycle backwards. Entire psychology PhD dissertations will one day be written trying to diagnose what the was wrong in this guy's head. Then there was my top laner, who was being played by one of the sperm cells that lost the race to TF Blade's mother's skeet sewer, then got pissed out and somehow fertilized a turd, and by some divine intervention that virgin turd gave birth to whatever form of life was behind the computer playing this Jax. Rumor is his map awareness, mechanical skill and basic cognitive function were all on vacation, which meant his death timer had to work overtime. Then finally we have this bushel of pathetic poison ivy, as just watching this walking weed was enough to give you hives, a type of flaming flowering feeding plant that is found most indigenously in the back of fountain where there is no light nor color. Oh, my 4th teammate? Honestly, not much to say other than he was a greedy asshole. I'm sure we've all had these games. Win or lose, you sit in the end screen lobby in silence, wondering why League doesn't add a captcha before queuing up so that you can stop getting literal robots as teammates, thinking there's no way you can do this again right now. You just need a break, and that's why it's a perfect time for ad time. This video is sponsored by Guild Wars 2. The guy who World of Warcraft's wife told him not to worry about this is one of the highest rated MMOs of all time, as there is no subscription required, meaning you can enjoy over 200 hours of epic story-filled gameplay completely for free. The art team over there is clearly full of valedictorians and young prodigies pumping out stunning characters and a crazy immersive world that you can plunge into. Not to mention that a gigantic new expansion is dropping this upcoming February called End of Dragon, so there literally isn't a better time for new players to get started. Now, as a total MMO geek my entire life, I know it can be overwhelming to get started in one, but these folks made it so easy. You just click my link below, which will take you to a page that looks like this. Simply fill out the deets to create an account, verify that biz on your email and log in with your shiny new free account. Click download client and voila, you are on your way. And while the next obsession of your life is installing, you can view the new player's guide that they set up, so unlike other MMOs you aren't completely lost when you first start playing. Thanks again to Guild Wars 2 for sponsoring my content, and let's get back into the video. Okay, now since I've had to live my life frustratingly flaccid since this game despite its final unknown outcome, I'm gonna make all of you experience every last excruciating detail, starting with the very first dive where Tweedledee and Tweedledum up here were about as coordinated as 2 drunk manatees trying to have a tea party, so spoiler alert, this is the last time any kills will be traded in return. Then introducing this flower rocking the I'm about to feed fashion Wako, so majestic as she appropriately waits to go get her dragon vision until the ghost is as clear as black tar. So yeah, decision making is not a skill endorsed by anyone on that loser Lilac's LinkedIn page, but let's introduce me while I was still happy and unaware of the pending ineptitude. You see, I was clearing vision, adult-like things, before roaming down to ask this magician if she can disappear. At this point little man was offering up his red buff, but I passed because I wanted that young Zaunbon to grow into a strong time-twisting teen, having no idea that this person was playing Echo on an Etch-a-Sketch, but more on that later. You see, some babies were dropped on their heads, but this Jax was clearly thrown at a wall, as it was impressive how consistent he was in never landing his stun before playing a quick game of Under My Tower tag, which by the fact that he flashed to give that diabetic ginger the perfect escape route, I'd say he lost. And watching the replay back, it's remarkable the resemblance of this Jax's outfit has to his own minions, which was giga appropriate considering his usefulness was on par with one of them, as he keeps his stunless streak as alive as ever. So needless to say that Cybertruck Durgot gets a quick deposit into the Cash Crab account. That said, while my teammates were focused on increasing the enemy team's wealth, I was seeing how big of a wedgie I could give this muff magician and her good-for-nothing twin under the tower without it punishing me. Then straight back up north to talk about this time twat coming in for a prime gank only to be barrel blasted back into Bush's stellar contribution from the Jax once again, to which he appropriately deems it a waste of his reversible time, only to find out in his absence the small friendly crab was murdered by a big armored one, which puts our moron with the mohawk in a precarious predicament. He correctly realizes that his chance of winning this fight are lower than his top laner's chances of landing a Jax stun, so he hops to safety only to immediately get failure FOMO and piss the plant off to put him straight back in a bad position. After slurping down some rift boogies, we get a battle, and to everyone's surprise he is holding his own until he prematurely nuts all over his alt key, meaning he has nothing to counter a big boy belly blaster back to base. The battle between Lamppost Lenny and Togatoni rages on up top as the helicopter impersonation comes out to blow some harmless wind at that fat alcoholic before deciding to get the shit out of there. But the problem with picking a fight 4 seconds after you just saw their jungler topside is that their jungler is probably still topside. Moving on, we have a run-in with Keggy Craig with the cankles down south, and thanks to the contributions of our donkey Dick up top, he is fed enough for 3 of us to all board the struggle bus just to take him down already. To which little man once again offers up his red buff, and at this point I'm fin to grub only for it to be dramatically robbed from me right in front of my eyes. Bruh. And I guess since this Echo oh so generously gave us all his buffs, he had to commute deep into dangerous lands to get some for himself, only to find none, and I'm not sure if breathing that fart-clouded zone air had him hallucinating or what, but I have no other possible explanation for this decision. Meanwhile, Action Jackson up top found their jungler as he deems flashing right before his stun lands a good use of that cooldown, only to still die a Saw movie gruesome-esque death. And hey, there's no better time to join a team fight than 15 seconds after it ends, so this human equivalent of gas station sushi bum rushes into the crime scene and commits hard face first, knowing he can just port back to a time when he was still capital F fucked. That said, I'm not exactly innocent in this, as I'm seemingly oblivious to the fact that a fat drunk and his pet Godzilla crab are rubbing one out in my own bedroom, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I am mid-diffing the piss out of this wizard. And for the record, after I wasted an exorbitant amount of time being clone catfished out of some cash, I did in fact do a parkouring rotation onto the ACL popping behemoth to earn a shutdown paycheck sizable enough to put me up there with Mr. Musk. I then became the first player on my team to not get belly boops on the shitter snoop by that obese nudist as I pieced out saying, "I'm too low, one of you take care of it." So without missing a beat, you already know who was there to pick up the call. And if I was as genetically defectively stupid as this Echo, I'd sue my parents, seeing as without a /s I can't feasibly comprehend this statement without my ass cringe quivering with convulsions. But at this point I had all my eggs in the Echo will carry with a 1-stack dark seal basket, considering our top was still more blindly pushed up than a crowd surfing Helen Keller, so naturally you feed a giant appetited crab once you already know that amphibious fuck is coming straight back for more. And this was putting the pressure on me to make some dank plays happen mid, as I was a swift assassin on my targets before escaping with so much dodge you could market me as a 7-seater and call me a caravan, as that Xerath totally didn't hit me with any of his ults because he was too busy stun cucking our ratchet Rosebush instead. Checking in on Echo to put some visuals behind his statement that he carries from here out, and I guess that means he blindly ports into enemy territory, completely ignores the free as hell blue buff before continuing his quest with side note Predator Rune to expedite his useless ass into danger so that he can die even faster. Hey, did you hear the one where an Echo without ult blindly plunges into Dragon Pit, starts tickling a pink ward right in front of 2 enemies, and literally anything good comes out of it? Yeah, neither did I. This left solely me with the responsibility of telling this bearded McDonald's addict to piss off, but why wouldn't he have Zanya's after fighting my whole team, so I get double chain banged and forced to accept a shitty trade. I see Blanc Lay doing a little over the wall wraparound tuggy, so I set up for a surprise welcome back to reality bitch party, to which she freezes up, leaving me blue balled flaccid rabbit dick out and all before I prove that Tristana is indeed Caucasian with that weak ass jump, leaving me with the consolation prize of an ADC instead of the mage mama I wanted. Then let the record show that warning signs were given but not received.
An enemy is unstoppable.
A little ARAM ensues, and thankfully Santa's little slut is stupid as all hell, so she dead, and then I get into a deformed octopus pursuit which is going well until David Blaine's weekend ass comes in. So long story short, we peel back until this board-certified failed abortion decides to port back to a time when he was mispositioned, so he dies, and while this is happening we already know this freaking plant was making sure the distribution of dumbass deaths was being spread equally across the rift, all while I'm trying to salvage the biggest embarrassment of the decade, if you don't include that time Ninja tried to get cold angry adults to floss.
I'm not seeing enough movement.
Anyways, I have to take a red eye up north because my top is neither a real weapon or a real brain, so babysitting must ensue as I pretend to be this fat ass's pancreas, knowing that's the only thing that'll kill that fed diabetic douche at this point. Zyra goes to get vision, which is synonymous with Zyra getting green eggs and hammed by Dr. Deuce Seuss in this top hat. Then Echo does nothing, then I collect the bounty, then I cut the scene before you see what happened next. Then Echo fails to understand how to use a hex gate because he's an uneducated Zound bottom feeder, so lightning strikes him more than twice. Then my support continues treating Gragas's ult like a merry-go-round and begging to ride it again. Then she gets us more vision. Then Echo decides his life's mission is to be the first idiot to comment first on the enemy team's Twitter post that read, "Just got freest dragon soul ever #Jungle Grand Canyon." Then I have to do the awful job of telling this intoxicated idiot that he needs to put the keg down and actually attend his AA meetings, but he says he would rather die. This Echo now officially has -69 stacks on his Dark Seal dude, having the decision-making skills of a bag of smashed door knobs. Jax still has his stick spin stun virginity despite his continuous efforts. I am trying my best to be the glue that's holding this shit fest that unfortunately is my solo queue reality together. At this point I am struggling to find ways to describe what my jungler is doing without insulting him, as I'm actually convinced that my goal of winning this game is not shared by anyone else on my team. And while I believe the following uncoordinated slap fest between this 0-77 Jax against a Fed Urgot shows just how busted nuts broken that champ can be, he's still my teammate so he still loses. But we can't forget this Echo was given an idiot enema up his asshole, so while I spent my time pinging and warning him off, if I truly cared about the future I should have been offering to pay for his vasectomy to guarantee something like this will never make more of itself. I have one more run-in with this Gragas, and despite being fettuccine alla fed as fuck, we were still getting embarrassed, so we went through a bit of a rough patch. Oh well, at least we have the next one to look forward to. You know where I have a windshitter top that's 0-6 rushing Last Whisperer and a Master Yi who built Sunfires. BRB going to drown my sorrows in White Claws. Rav out.
They ask how I rap like I'm the baby. Your girl in my DMs and she going crazy. She asked to come over, I'm telling her maybe. I'm busy, I'm chasing the check.